Yo, what's good everyone? Welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I am now back home after traveling for work the last few days. It is definitely good to be back, and today I'm going to be breaking down the Nhl Dfs slate for Friday, October 14th. We got ourselves a 4-game slate here tonight, where I'm going to go through a couple of my favorite line stacks, some of my favorite individual plays, and some of my favorite low-priced options. With that being said, let's dive into this spreadsheet here. And like we always do, we're going to kick things off here in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got 2 of these 4 games coming in with an implied total of 6.5 goals, the other 2 coming in at 6 goals. And then take a look down here at the Vegas odds. Hurricanes and Lightning sitting pretty damn nice on the money line, and then the Red Wings and Jets favored to win their games. Now I do realize that all of the forwards I have on the spreadsheet here today outside of the low-priced options are first-line players. Notoriously not something I'm going to do, but just happened to work out that way on this 4-game slate. And I've preached this in the past on the NHL side of things. It is very easy to make your lineups contrarian, so I'm not really worried about that. There are definitely going to be some guys that are higher owned on this 4-game slate, but for example, I'm looking at Jarvis and Teravainen right now, around 10% ownership. That's not bad at all. So yes, all first-line forwards here on the spreadsheet today, but again, not something I'm going to do on a regular basis. With that being said, let's dive into a couple of my favorite line stacks here, kicking it off with that first line for the Detroit Red Wings. We got Larkin centering Bertuzzi and Raymond. That was the first line we wanted to see all of last year, but Bertuzzi pretty much played on the second line last year until Jacob Vrana came back from injury. And for what it's worth, I kind of like that second line for Detroit as well. You have Andrew Kopp centering Jacob Vrana and David Perron, but obviously you bring in Kopp from the Rangers and partially Winnipeg last year, and you bring in David Perron from St. Louis, and they're probably still working on some of their chemistry a little bit, but all those guys will get power play time, and they're very affordable. And that's what you're getting out of this first line as well. Number one, they are very affordable here. They're going to play big minutes, and all 3 of these guys play up on the number 1 power play. So the correlation is strong in a good matchup here against the Montreal Canadiens. And then another line stack I like here tonight is that first line for the Winnipeg Jets. You got Scheifele centering Connor and Nikolai Ehlers. For what it's worth, we've always wanted to see these 3 play together as well, but this is purely offense here. This could be arguably one of the worst defensive forward lines in hockey. Now, they're talented enough to where they could absolutely play good defense, but they just don't. These guys are going to just try to outscore their opponent night in and night out. And they have the upside in offensive talent to do that. You got 2 natural shooters here in Connor and Ehlers, and a playmaker in Scheifele who can still score 30-plus goals in a season. So yeah, I love the offensive upside here for this line, especially considering all 3 are playing on the number 1 power play as well. Now they're going to be playing the New York Rangers here tonight, who have looked very good in their first 2 games to start the season, but they're also playing on back-to-back nights. Igor Shesterkin started last night against the Minnesota Wild, so you're going to get the backup goaltender tonight and Yaroslav Halak. Plus, the Rangers are playing their 3rd game here tonight in the first 4 days of the NHL season. That's asking a lot out of them, especially when you're traveling on the road. Now, folks, before we dive into some of my favorite individual plays here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Hockey season is just getting started. We're only into day 4 here, and I'm going to have content coming out for you guys all year long. And with that said, we'll dive into the forwards here, kicking it off with Steven Stamkos. And yes, you could roll out Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov here, Victor Hedman, stack up that number 1 power play for the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight in a good matchup against the Columbus Blue Jackets. As a one-off play, I do like Stammer here as well. Looked very good in that first game against the New York Rangers, where he scored their only goal, had 5 shots on net and 3 block shots. He got you 6 bonus points in their opener. So yeah, I like Stammer here once again. And for what it's worth, he played very well against this Columbus team last year, where he racked up 2 goals, 5 assists, 7 points in 3 games, 14 shots on net, averaging 24 DraftKings points per game. He's going to play on that first line tonight, play on that number 1 power play, and will log big minutes as well. I think got Teuvo Teravainen there of the Carolina Hurricanes, and I'm actually going to highlight Seth Jarvis here at the same time. Both those guys playing up on that first line in number 1 power play. And hey, for what it's worth, if you want to mix in Sebastian Aho, who's going to center both those guys on the first line and play on the number 1 power play, I have no issue with that whatsoever. You just get a little better value here out of Teravainen and especially Seth Jarvis, who's still too cheap at $4,500 in my opinion. I think he should be in the low 5K range, but yes, he did get that $1,000 bump up from the other day. I'll still take advantage of that. That first line for Carolina did look very good in their first game against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Teravainen finished the game with 5 shots on net, getting you that 3-point DraftKings bonus, although he did not get on the score sheet. Seth Jarvis did get on the score sheet by scoring a goal and had 4 shots on net. And I love the matchup for them once again here tonight against the San Jose Sharks, who didn't look great in the Global Series, and just looking at their roster here, nothing that really concerns me. They very well could be one of the worst teams in the NHL this year. And then I want to highlight these next 2 guys together as well. Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki of the Montreal Canadiens. Both those guys playing up on the first line and number 1 power play, and looked very good in their first game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, playing the Red Wings here, I'm not entirely sure what to think of this Red Wings team, but I will say this. I do believe in Steve Yzerman, and I think this team is going to take significant steps this year, but they've also been one of the worst defensive teams in the NHL for the past handful of years, so I don't mind targeting this game in general here. It does have an implied total of 6.5, so definitely some shootout potential. And like I said, Caulfield and Suzuki looked good in that first game against Toronto, who's also a pretty damn good team. Caulfield had 2 goals in that game. Suzuki had 2 assists. Suzuki assisted on Caulfield's first goal, and he had 5 shots on net as well, getting you that 3-point bonus. Suzuki ended up with 3 shots on net. So there's a lot of offensive firepower here between these two. They're going to log big minutes together, and the chemistry between them is very real. Now, just want to take a quick minute to talk about one of the sponsors on this channel, Lucra. If you have not downloaded Lucra, it is completely free to get started. I'm actually going to throw a QR code up on the screen here right now. You can scan this with your phone. It's going to download the app, and once it does that, it's going to give you my referral code, which is GRIFF, GRIFF, and give you $25 in free play money. Now, you can use that free play money to compete against anybody, friends, family, or someone random, and if you win those contests, you'll actually see that free play money convert to real cash. So if you win enough of your contests with that free play money, you might legit never have to deposit a single dollar on Lucra. You can just build a bankroll from there. So again, I'll throw that QR code up on the screen one more time. You can scan this with your phone here. It'll download the app, include my referral code GRIFF, GRIFF, and give you that $25 in free play money. Now, moving over here to the defenseman, first guy I got there is Brent Burns of the Carolina Hurricanes, and I mentioned that we could stack Sebastian Aho earlier with Teravainen and Jarvis, and I absolutely believe we can do that, but I don't mind doing a little 2-forward stack with Teravainen and Jarvis, and then adding 1 defenseman in Brent Burns, with all 3 of those guys playing on the number 1 power play. And hey, for what it's worth, being that it is just a 4-game slate, you could add Aho to that mix as well and stack all 4 guys together. They will all play on the number 1 power play. You can also run with the revenge narrative here, playing against his former team in the San Jose Sharks. I highly doubt there's any bad blood there between Burns and the Sharks, but hey, the theory does fit, and I do like him in this matchup against his former team. Now, one guy who's just too cheap in my opinion is Mo Seider here of the Detroit Red Wings. Very similar situation to that stack that I just mentioned. If you want to roll out that first line for Detroit and mix in Mo Seider, that absolutely makes sense and very affordable to do that. He was incredible in his rookie season, put up 50 points in 82 games, not afraid to shoot the puck, not afraid to block shots, can rack up DraftKings points in a number of different ways. Should log about 22, 23 plus minutes here tonight. Again, plays on that number 1 power play and plays on the penalty kill as well. And why break that 3-forward, 1 defenseman stack strategy here with Josh Morrissey? Why not put him with that first line for the Winnipeg Jets? Because he's going to play on that number 1 power play with them as well. Definitely has some offensive upside. Scored 12 goals last year and had 37 points in 79 games. I would like him to shoot the puck a little bit more. Maybe he'll do that with those guys on that number 1 power play, but for what it's worth, it is a very fair price here at $4,800. And you'd probably float around the low 5K range throughout most of the year, so a little discount there in my opinion, but a guy who should play 23 plus minutes here tonight and fits nice in a power play stack with that first line. And then wrapping up the defenseman there with Mikhail Sergachev at $3,900. Really like that price for him. Someone who has some really nice upside, or as you guys all know, double-digit DraftKings point upside. That's what I'm going for. He did that in that first game against the New York Rangers where he blocked 7 shots, cleared that 3-block shot bonus by a mile. Gonna play about 22 plus minutes in this game, plays on the number 2 power play, and plays on the penalty kill as well. And then I got a couple of goaltenders there for you, and I just prefer to pay up at the goaltender position tonight with Vasilevsky and Hellebuyck. For what it's worth, it looks like Hellebuyck will be more of a contrarian play here tonight. You can see I'm kind of just on the Winnipeg Jets in general. I'm going with that theory that, hey, the Rangers are playing their 3rd game in 4 days. I'm going to go with the opposite side of that. Maybe that's a mistake, but folks, we are just 4 days into the NHL season. There's a lot of unknown still. Once we get about 2-3 weeks in, then things start to solidify a little bit more. With that said, I do like the matchup here against the Columbus Blue Jackets for Tampa tonight. After losing that first game against the New York Rangers, I think they bounce back here tonight and get a win. Plus, Vasi is still a top 2 goaltender in the NHL. It's him and Igor Shesterkin. And then Connor Hellebuyck, like I said, projected to have pretty low ownership here tonight, so I kind of like him as more of a contrarian play, especially considering that he is $8,200 here. I don't know if people are going to want to pay up for him, so I'm kind of riding or dying with the Winnipeg Jets here tonight, banking on the Rangers being a little tired playing their 3rd game in 4 days. And as always, I'm going to wrap up this spreadsheet here with 3 low-priced options or sub-4K forward plays. For what it's worth, everyone, I think there's a lot of value in the 4 to 5K range here tonight for forwards, and even some guys in the low 6K range that are very, very viable. I don't think we need to go below 4K here tonight, but if you wanted to, here are 3 guys that stuck out to me. Luke Kunin here of the San Jose Sharks is getting all the opportunity in the world right now, playing up on that first line and number 1 power play. This is a tough matchup, however, against the Carolina Hurricanes, one of the better defensive teams in the NHL. But he looked pretty damn good in those first 2 games in the Global Series against the Nashville Predators, where he did score 1 goal and had 1 assist. So it's definitely an opportunity play there. Sean Monahan was a little surprised to see him log 18 plus minutes for Montreal in his first game, but he did, playing on that second line and number 1 power play, and he actually scored in his debut as well. Now, it was a handful of years ago. This was a very good hockey player, has kind of lost some confidence, especially last year with the Calgary Flames. Maybe he's found that again with the Montreal Canadiens. And then Justin Danforth there of the Columbus Blue Jackets, another opportunity play here. With Laine out the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to see Danforth get the opportunity, at least right away, to play on that first line with Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau, and he's going to play on that number 1 power play as well, albeit a tougher matchup against the Lightning. And then to wrap up this video here, want to talk a little prize picks with you guys. Had a really good opening night going 3 for 3. Last 2 nights, not as hot, just going 1 for 2. But folks, again, we're just 4 days into the NHL season. We're figuring things out. We're going to get on the right track more nights than not. That's the goal, right? Have more wins throughout the year than losses. Now, I'm looking at the props here right now this morning. They have quite a few out. I have 5 that are sticking out to me. These are not my final picks. We're going to stick with the same strategy as last year, where we had a lot of success. I'll let you know my final picks in the comments below on this video, and I'll explain why I like those picks. But here are 5 that are sticking out to me here early on if you want to dive into these. Mo Seider, actually let's start with Dylan Larkin, over 2.5 shots on net. He averaged 2.9 shots on goal all of last year. Definitely think that's a viable play, over 2.5 shots on goal against Montreal. Same thing with Mo Seider there. I think that should be at 2.5, so I'll take advantage of the 2.0 number. We're going to go down here a little bit more to the shots on goal. Teravainen, like mentioned earlier, had 5 shots on net in that first game against Columbus. Good matchup here tonight against San Jose. Brent Burns, 2.5 going against his former team. I think he's going to want to score against his former team, so I don't mind that. And then I got 1 point prop for you guys here. Cole Caulfield over 1 point, or over half a point rather. I think that's probably one of my favorites here, but again, I'm going to give you my final favorite picks in the comments below on this video, and I'll be sure to pin that comment as well. Now, for those of you who have not signed up for Prize Picks yet, but are interested in getting in on this action, I got a promo code that you should definitely take advantage of. When you're signing up, use my promo code GRIFF. GRIFF, and Prizepicks will give you all the way up to a $100 match deposit. And I've already mentioned this a handful of times already this year, but you do not have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. They will match anything up to $100. Again, as long as you're using my promo code GRIFF, GRIFF, upon signing up. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great day here, folks, and a great weekend at that. Let's win some money on this 4-game slate. I'm out of here.